Welcome to Moto State Podcast, where we talk about motorcycles, life, and everything in between. You don't think though that maybe it'll just take the edge off when you're in the car? Like, she's not sleeping right now, but maybe it'll just take the edge off anyway.
I hope so. I mean, she is high strung on car rides, like long car rides. So we'll see. Gonna find out.
I guess so. God
Pray
damn.
for me.
That's not good. Not good at all.
Yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, anywho, I think we're breaking the trip up. We're gonna go to Nashville tomorrow, then on to Knoxville on Wednesday. So it won't be too bad. Like 4.5 hours to Nashville, and then it's only like 2.5, 3 hours to Knoxville from there.
Sure.
So.
You have the whole week off then?
No. Well, I'm like a half day tomorrow, and then I'm off the rest of the week.
Okay.
So yeah, I work today, work half day tomorrow, so not too bad.
Alrighty.
There's not much going on though. There's a lot of people out of the office this week.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we have this big ass snowstorm coming, so it's gonna.
Oh, do you?
Well, now they said earlier, 2 days ago was a big ass snowstorm. Now it's shifted south of us a little bit, so we will get some snow, and by the looks of it, this will be the first snow that's probably going to stay for us.
Okay.
But we were in that kind of 6-inch range. Now we're kind of in that inch to trace to an inch, so we're not going to get a whole lot. It's going to be windy. It's just going to be blustery and cold and shitty. It's just going to be the first snow, I mean, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's stupid, and we all hate it, but it's here.
I think some of that system, I don't think it's going to dip. It's going to dip south, but not enough to hit St. Louis. I won't be here. I don't care, but oh well.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's not fun, but it's an inevitability.
No, it's part of it, but looks like weather will be good. Dog starts getting on my nerves. I'll just put my AirPods in and listen to some music or some podcasts and try to ignore.
Yeah.
That's what my kid will be doing the whole trip. So.
Sure.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, we've touched on a few topics that I would say are kind of could go either way, right? Could be motorcycle related or not motorcycle related, and I think this is a good one. I think it's something that we can both relate to. If you look right over Luke's shoulder, if you're watching us on YouTube right now, Luke's got a guitar up there. He's got his Cody Jenks hat on today. I think we should talk about music. I think we should talk about, either how that connects to our personal lives, our motorcycling, or, all of the above, right? Because I think it's I think it's fairly to relatively important to both of us in different ways. So.
Yeah, music makes the world go around for me a lot of the time. It just, especially live music. I mean, I'll take a concert any day of the week that I can get to. Preferably smaller venue, not the big stadium, thousands and thousands of people. And fortunately in St. Louis we have some good smaller venues where I'm in talk sub 500 people that can fit in there, maybe 500 to 1,000 range, which is really nice. You can you still feel like you there's not a bad seat. You may be standing the whole time, but still you can see easily. Those type of shows, probably smaller artists, obviously, but they're hanging out at the merch table after the show. You get to meet them, get an autograph if you want, and that's my jam. That puts me in my happy place. That's for sure.
I think St. Louis is a hub city, though, right? So I mean, you have a lot of opportunity to get pretty up and coming acts and big acts, kind of all at the same time, right?
Kansas City gets better shows than St. Louis.
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess your proximity to Kansas City is probably a detriment to that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Kansas City is just a more progressive city. I think they just show up and show out. I mean, if an artist plays Kansas City and St. Louis, oftentimes they will play St. Louis during the week, like a Wednesday or Thursday night, and then it's a Friday or Saturday night show in Kansas City because they know they're going to get a better turnout.
Sure.
So,
well,
unfortunate.
What's interesting for us is so the venues around our area. I think the Dome in Fargo seats like 15,000, and then we have an arena here that seats about 12,000 in my hometown here. When you have the arenas that are that size, oftentimes they can be very lucrative for the artists because they'll easily sell them out and they can charge top dollar for almost all of the tickets because there's not a bad seat in the house, right? So like if you're, I'm just going to, say you're going to a Taylor Swift concert and a concert here, right? She's only going to sell a certain number of seats in a 40,000 seat arena at $400 a piece. She's going to sell half of them in our arena for $400 a piece or more, right?
Right.
Or more than half, right? So the bang for their buck is very high when they come to places like us. Now, we don't get a lot of what I would call up and coming artists unless they're here with another, like they're headlining for a bigger group. You know what I'm saying?
Got it. Sure.
So, it's been, like I've seen some big name artists, but I've never really seen any people up and coming, not in our area at least. So.
Gotcha. So the only time you see them is if they're an opening act, they're in support of a bigger name.
Yeah, that'd be the most. And honestly, the funny thing is for me is that I don't mind concerts. I wouldn't say they're my jam like what you said. I've been to a number of concerts in my life, but I would say I've been to maybe 40, 50 in my life. You've probably been to that many in the last 5 years.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, see, I'm not a huge so there's two things for me. Number one, my wife's really short. And I never considered it, but in a concert setting, it's all asses and elbows for her.
Sure.
So it's just not very enjoyable. And for me, I have this, I get 2 beers into the night or 3 beers into the night, and I'm pissing every 12 minutes. And so I've been like that my whole life.
Same. I'm the same way.
So so it's just not that enjoyable when I want to go and have a couple beers and listen to some music, and I got to leave every 12 minutes because I have to piss so bad. Yeah. So it's so for me it's kind of a give and take, right? I go to concerts that I know are once in a lifetime, can't miss kind of scenarios, or I go to shows. So
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, Sophia's 13, and she's probably been to 20, 25 concerts already in her life. She loves them. I started taking her pretty early. She was probably, she was probably 6 or 7, her first concert. And she's learned to love them, like, through that. She no longer wants to go see the same shows I do, and that's okay.
Right.
And it's kind of shifted where now her mom's taking her to see Post Malone, or took her to see Taylor Swift a few years ago in Kansas City. So all good. I've taken her to more smaller venues and got to meet the artist and had some cool experiences that way. She's seen Cody Jinks probably 7 times and met him 3 or 4 times. But yeah, it's I'm glad, and I passed that down to her because I got that from my parents. My first concert, I was 5 years old, or 6 years old, 5 or 6, at Neyland Stadium where Tennessee plays football. And I saw Michael Jackson for my first show.
Holy shit, good for you.
Yeah, and he played a Friday and Saturday night show there. It was Friday night. I remember that because I missed Knight Rider that night. Was a little frustrated with that, but excited to go to the show. But it was really neat. It was a cool experience. And from there, my parents took me to, nothing like Sophia, but, I've got to see, they took me to Bon Jovi, Rod Stewart, Jimmy Buffett. It was a wild mix of stuff they listened to, therefore I listened to. They were nice enough to let me go to Lollapalooza my summer before my senior year of high school. It was up the road and about an hour away in Newport, Tennessee, and I can't believe they let me do that. spend the night at some hotel, but they did. It was great. It was a blast. Got to see Rage Against the Machine, the Ramones. I think I saw Ozzy. It was awesome. So as a young kid, that just became part of my life, so to say. And man, it's been a blast. I'm thankful. I thank my parents all the time for introducing me to good music and good live music as well.
Yeah, it's funny too. Music is an extraordinarily important part of my life and my family. But we have done a couple of different things. So while we haven't taken our daughters to a lot of concerts per se, they've both seen musicals on Broadway.
Nice.
In New York. They've both seen shows in Vegas. We've seen musicals in Minneapolis at like the Ordway and different theaters there. So we have gone to like musical theater is where my wife and I met. When we were in high school, we both did music and theater in high school. In fact, my oldest daughter is following in those footsteps, and she's going to be a music educator.
That's awesome.
So yeah, music is super important to us in our house too. So it's been more shows. Now I would say that I have been to very few country concerts. However, I've been to WeFest twice, even though I'm not a huge country fan. I've been to WeFest twice, and I went 10 years apart. So
oh, wow.
I went to when I went to WeFest the first time. It was I call it the Indian Outlaw concert versus the Bicycle Shirt concert. So when we went to the first one, it was 1996, and it was when Tim McGraw was at the height of the kind of the Indian Outlaw. Indian Outlaw
Sure.
had been out for a few years at that point, but that was when he was, you know what I mean? Like that was that Tim McGraw.
Sure.
Then
Yeah.
when we went in 2006, it was after he'd been married to Faith Hill for a number of years, and he came out in a skin-tight bicycle shirt and forgot the lyrics to his song and, did a lot of the Creed Arms Wide Open standing on stage singing like that. And I much preferred the Indian Outlaw Tim McGraw.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
yeah, he was a lot more like Men in Black, or not Men in Black, but the Man in Black. He was a lot more. He was a lot more like him when we saw him the first time. So
Gotcha. Interesting.
So yeah, so I've been to that. Let me think. I've seen Billy Joel and Elton John together in concert, and then we've seen them both separately,
Nice.
and that was like one of those once in a lifetime kind of things.
What do you remember your first concert?
Man, my first concert. Oh, wow. The first one that I think really made an impression on me, and this is you're gonna laugh your balls off, but it was a Boyz II Men concert. Told you you'd laugh your balls off.
I just imagine you like rolling down the road on your bike and like singing Boyz II Men top of your lungs. And
End of the road, man. End of the road.
That's right.
Yeah, no, it was, what it was is that, I graduated in the early 90s when like R&B and hip hop was like
Sure.
all the thing. Right. And so, like I had when I was in high school, I had a 78 Malibu Classic, jacked up 305 motor, windows tinted. And, one of the funnest things that my buddy and I did is we had Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg song on, and we had the windows rolled up in my car, and we had like big blunt cigars, and we were puffing on them until we filled the car with smoke. And then I power braked. So those young
Nice.
kids out there probably don't know what it is, but for those of you that do, in an older car, you could power brake. So you stood on the brake, and then you stepped on the gas. So if you had a rear-wheel drive car, and you could start your tires spinning, but your car was in place. And so I power braked it until I was spinning, and then we rolled the windows down, and I let go of the brake, and we peeled out down the road with smoke rolling out of the inside of the car and rolling off the tires.
So great.
Listening to Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. So so that was kind of I grew up it was so weird, right? When grunge was really taking off, I was listening to R&B and rap and hip hop and that kind of stuff. And then, so like, I didn't find all the music of my generation until I was, probably in my, I was probably in my 30s before I went back to the music that I grew up, that I should have, that I kind of grew up on too. You know what I mean?
What should have you been listening to? What did you find in your 30s?
Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Rage Against the Machine, all of the grunge, essentially, music that was really big then. And but I fell in love with it, right? The lead singer for Audioslave, Chris Cornell, who he ended up being one of my favorite, and to this day is one of my favorite artists ever. I think he has a absolutely fantastic voice. And oddly enough, I saw probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And so from a musical perspective, I could appreciate this. But so do you know what called Singing in a Round is?
Mm-mm.
So you've heard of people singing the song Row, Row, Row Your Boat, right? Yeah. And so one person starts it, and then another person starts like 2 measures later, and another person
kind of
starts.
Layered.
Yeah, it's like layered, singing in a round, right?
Okay.
So, so at the Pearl Jam concert, they had a couple of bands came out, did their stuff. I don't even know who they were, but they were not worth mentioning. I was there to see Pearl Jam, and Eddie Vedder comes out on stage, and there's no lights on, and he sits down on the edge of the stage, and he sings a vocal track. Well, they recorded that vocal track, right? So then they played it, and he sang another vocal track in a different octave. So he was singing harmony with himself. Oh, wow. And they did that 4 or 5 times and layered it until he was singing like 4 or 5 parts with his own voice for his warm-up for the show.
That's cool. Yeah.
And it's the coolest thing musically I've ever seen. And it just kind of shows you, like, these guys, how, like, even in grunge music, they're so musically talented.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think we take it for granted what it's like for some of these musicians to be able to play guitar or play drums and sing, and you know what I mean? So, that there's that part of it. I don't know if I'm weird or not, but I have an appreciation and affinity for for a pretty large swath of music. And I've listened to a lot of it. Like lately, my go-to in like on a bike trip, if I'm getting tired or whatever, is 80s yacht rock. That has been
if I was to place a bet on what you would listen to on the bike, I would have lost money.
Yeah,
on that one.
yeah. So that's been my go-to a little bit is 80s yacht rock. So
okay,
if those of you out there don't know what yacht rock is, I would say go onto Spotify, just type in yacht rock, and you will be blown away. So what's going to happen is you'll find out that you know all the music and didn't realize you knew all the music, especially if you're.
It's because you hear it at the grocery store.
You hear it at the grocery store.
Elevator.
You heard it on AM radio back in the day. Yeah, you'll know, like, and then you'll realize you didn't know you knew it, right? So
right.
That, and then obviously, like the grunge music was something of my time. One of my favorite concerts ever was the king of country music.
George Strait?
Nope.
Well, they call George Strait the king.
Yeah,
so.
Garth Brooks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and I saw Garth Brooks right at the end of his like super popularity. So I saw him probably like in '98.
Okay.
And so where he just kind of came on stage and he said, "You guys want the new stuff or the old stuff?" And then everyone screamed the old stuff. So he played all the music that everybody knew. You know what I mean?
But and I haven't been to one of his concerts. Certainly seen videos on YouTube or wherever. But the theatrics of his shows are impressive.
Oh, dude! Like like when we saw him, he was in incredible shape because he ran all over the stage during the whole show. Like he never stopped moving. You know, at one point in time, there was this pyrotechnics. He came like blowing out of the top of a piano. I mean, yeah. And to this day, that concert easily ranks in my top 5. Easily.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was such a good concert, and it gave me a new appreciation. But here's the same thing. Like, I was never a Johnny Cash fan till after I was 40 years old. And now I love all of his stuff pretty much.
Sure. Yeah.
And when I really became a Johnny Cash fan is when he sang a grunge song.
Oh, Hurt?
Yeah, of course, right? And it just because it was so, for me, I always attach like a memory or an emotion or something to that, and that song, him singing it was so emotional that it evoked this really like this primal feeling. And even Trent Reznor, who wrote the song, said after Johnny Cash sang it, he said it wasn't my song anymore.
Well, yeah, I've seen interviews where he was like, I just wasn't really sure. Of course, I'm not gonna tell Johnny Cash no.
Right.
But he had his doubts. He's like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Completely different song.
Yep.
Completely different song. Exact same song, but it's completely different between those two.
Yep. And then one of my favorite things is I love to find obscure music where somebody, like an artist, will do a cover of somebody else's song.
Sure.
I love that kind of stuff too. So, like I said, super eclectic. Ironically, that's one of the places where you and I differ, where you really, really love country music. Oh man, like I'm not a super fan, but I will say I found myself one day this summer mowing my lawn listening to old Kenny Rogers music. Nice. Like The Gambler, and you know what I mean, like really old, like 80s, Lady, and like all the stuff from way back then. And I love like I love rediscovering music and earning a new appreciation for it. That's what I love, like where I'm at right now in my musical journey, I would say, rather than like listening to a genre or a type of music or whatever. I love just like rediscovering it. That's what happened with Yacht Rock, dude. I watched something on like Amazon or Amazon Prime or something like that. There was a documentary that they did on. I'm like, holy fuck. Like I was just late one night and I just put it on and I was like, what the fuck's Yacht Rock? Like I truly thought Yacht Rock, like on a boat. You know what I mean? Oh no. No, like I didn't.
Music, man.
Yeah, like I didn't know. I really didn't know.
Get your pontoon boat out.
Yeah.
And crank on some Yacht Rock.
Yeah, and I was blown away by Africa from Toto. Like
there you go.
Pinnacle of Yacht Rock right there, right? So, So if you're ever wondering, those of you out there.
Toto or Weezer, which version's better?
Oh, Toto. No, I'm yeah. And what I didn't realize either is like that band, like, and I love the background stuff. Like Toto, they were a studio band, just a bunch of guys that played instruments for other people on other people's albums. They just got together and like put out music, and no one expected it. But then again, it's like if you want to know Yacht Rock, Michael McDonald. Everybody knows Michael McDonald. That motherfucker's like the king of Yacht Rock, right?
Oh yeah.
So
he is Yacht Rock.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, so I don't know, like where, like so you've been like a concert guy. So where else has music played like an important role for you? Oh
man, you name it. I think probably for same as a lot of people, any tough time in my life, there was theme songs to those parts of my life, whether it was probably not high, like as an adult, whether it's divorce or losing family member or friends, or just a rough part of life, just having some bad luck. And there's all that. I mean, Mumford and Sons just talk to me. Certain songs talk to you at certain points of your life, and so Mumford Sons has done that.
That Babel, Babel, is that how you pronounce that album? Babel.
Yeah.
One of my favorite albums in the last 20 years.
Yeah,
fucking fantastic.
Amazing in concert. Those guys were so good.
Well, I'm sure because they're kind of almost like a jam band, right? So, yeah,
they can be. Yeah. Mumford, Josh Malloy, whose guitar is behind me. Certainly some Jinx songs. Certainly some Johnny Cash songs too. "Hurt" is something that's a great song and has certainly talked to me at certain times. Trying to think who else. I mean, just across the board for me, like I grew up. I wasn't always a country guy. I mean, probably didn't start listening. I didn't get into country until like my early to mid 20s.
Okay.
Growing up in Tennessee, 2.5 hours from Nashville, I didn't listen to country at all. The only time I listened to the country station in Knoxville was when Tennessee played football, because they did the broadcast. But so I grew up, ZZ Top and Allman Brothers and Leonard Skinner and a lot of Southern
rock.
Yeah, a lot of Southern rock, but also, Mom and Dad were listening to Rod Stewart. They were listening to Jimi Hendrix. They were listening to a lot. I mean, I've seen Eric Clapton 2 or 3 times in concert because Mom and Dad. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what I grew up on. And so I'm so thankful I'm kind of thankful Mom and Dad didn't listen to country and still don't. Because that's what was my influence. And then I found country on my own.
Sure.
And was like kicking myself like, man, I wish I had paid attention to my grandpa, listened to Glenn Campbell and Waylon Jennings and all that, because they were still alive in the 80s and early 90s. I could have, George Jones, I could have, I would not seen them, but, they would have been, these singers that I love were alive then. It could, I think it would have been a different experience. Not that the experience I have is bad now. But got into country, and Johnny Cash was the first one. It was, everyone knows Cash, so I started listening to Johnny Cash. I really like it, and I remember telling my dad, I said, Dad, I was starting to get into country music. He's like, oh, yeah, who you listen to? I said, I'm really into Johnny Cash. He's like, oh, yeah, I remember seeing him at concert. I'm sorry, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, I was stationed at Luke Air Force Base in Phoenix, Arizona, and him and June Carter came through town, so we went, me and my buddies got tickets and went. This was a great show. He goes, of course, your mom saw Elvis. And I was like, what?
What?
Candy, come here. Yeah, he played at the UT's original gym, the Stokely Center, Stokely Athletic Center. I think that's what it was back then. He played that. And Dad's like, I gave my ticket to your aunt, and I kick myself every day for doing that.
Wow.
Because he died just a couple years later, so I never got to see him.
Sure.
Then Dad tells the story of the same venue, at Stokely. We saw Allman Brothers, and they came out and immediately played 2 or 3 songs. Guy in the front row was screaming some song he wanted to hear just over and over. Greg Allman finally looks at him and goes, hey, man, we're going to play them all tonight. And he goes, 4.5 hours later, they stopped playing.
Good God.
He goes, there was nobody sober or not high in that gym after that show. It was amazing.
Holy hell.
I can't imagine going to shows like that.
Well,
it would be awesome.
An artist isn't going to play much more than 90 minutes anymore, right? I mean, 90 minutes is a tough one.
Yeah, I think 90 to 120 minutes. I mean, it depends on what time they go on, right? Like, if you can get them on by 9, they're usually done by 11. And that's usually when they have to stop playing either way. But,
right.
But yeah, it's tough to get more than 2 hours out of it. But I've really enjoyed getting to more festivals over the last few years. Been to a couple. Been to one up in Iowa, a couple down in Nashville, and for me, it's kind of. I mean, if you can put up with the weather and you can put up with all the people, and it's just long days, it's a long weekend, but the bang for your buck. I mean, you're seeing. I saw. Chris and I saw. We saw Trampled by Turtles. We saw Margot Price. We saw John Prine's son. Then we saw Melinda Carlisle. And then we saw Chris Stapleton. All in one day. That was just one day. Like, for $100. Shit, I mean, I've paid more than $100 a ticket just to go to one concert to see one artist. So that's been a lot of fun, too.
You mentioned Chris Stapleton, and he was on the tip of my tongue. I wanted to mention him, and the reason why is another guy that I just discovered like within the last 3 months. And yeah, and it's just because, like I said, I just don't fly in those circles, right? But as soon as I heard Chris Stapleton's voice, I was like, okay, number one, he's got a timeless voice. His music is going to live on long after he does, because it is he does have a timeless voice. Number two is that I don't actually associate Chris Stapleton with country. He sounds like a blues rock guy way more to me than he sounds like a pure country guy. You know what I mean? And so, for me personally, I'm I'm very attracted to people, to music and singers that have a sound that as soon as you hear it, you know the artist immediately, and
Yep.
you won't forget it, right? So like one of my favorite bands of all time and favorite musicians of all time is Dave Matthews.
Sure.
And I know a lot of people. To me, you're either like on one camp or the other. You either love Dave Matthews or you fucking can't stand him, right?
Sure.
And I've seen him in concert, and I mean that was like, right. You hear a lot of stories, and it was completely true. We were in Winnipeg when we saw him. There was a couple bands that played. The lights went out. Dave Matthews came on, and it was like 500,000, and it wasn't that many. It was like, I don't know, whatever it was. 25,000 people lighting bowls at the same time. Like you were high.
Oh, yeah.
You were high because you were in the arena. Like my buddy and I didn't smoke at all, and that's how much like weed was being smoked in there.
Oh,
but
yeah.
but I love him because he's got this super unique sound, and you know him as soon as he starts to sing, and he's highly talented, right? He can sing acoustic, he can sing solo, he can sing with his band, he can pair himself with other singers. I feel like Chris Stapleton's the same way, right? I mean, I just listened to Chris Stapleton had a very respectable singer-songwriter career. Do you know what blew him up?
Tennessee Whiskey, what he did with Justin Timberlake.
When he did it with Justin Timberlake at the CMAs, yeah. When he sang with Justin Timberlake, his career and his whole trajectory changed.
Do you know the history of that song?
I absolutely do not. No, because I just discovered Chris Stapleton, like I said, in the last few months, and
So-
I always like to dig, right? I like to know a little bit.
A lot of people
about
thought,
the
"Oh
artist
man,
and
he
stuff.
wrote such a great song," and that song came out in the early '70s before I was even born.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised.
David Allen Coe
Okay,
originally
yep,
wrote that and covered it. Then George Jones covered it, late '70s, early '80s, and then it was. I mean, a lot of people have covered it, but those are the two. Obviously, Coe was the original one on it, and
There's a
George
pretty
Jones well known.
There was a pretty prolific female singer that sang it before him too, and I don't remember who that was.
I'm not sure, but then he did that. Him and Timberlake killed it. Just fucking killed it. It's he's wrote some amazing songs of his own. He's covered quite a few, and just as you said, a very unique. I should say unique, but a very distinctive voice. You know who it is,
Right.
when that song is on, whatever it is that he's singing.
Yeah.
You know it's him.
Well, it's ironic too that sometimes the things that I really like. One of, I don't remember the name of the song. I wish I could remember it off the top of my head. But one of the songs that Garth Brooks sang that was immensely popular was a Billy Joel song.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
written and performed originally by Billy Joel, and then Garth Brooks sang it and brought it to the stratosphere, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's we were talking earlier. You were talking about covers. I think I put it in Discord over the weekend, maybe or last week. Stephen Wilson Jr., a guy who's really blowing up right now and has for the last few months. But and he's wrote some great songs. I really enjoy. This guy's got a very unique voice, like a distinctive voice.
Mm-hmm.
But he has covered, "Stand by Me." He's covered Nirvana. He's covered. He covered. Can't remember the other one. He's covered numerous songs, and his take on those songs is really cool. It's kind of a like Johnny Cash with "Hurt." Like, I didn't expect the song to go this way until somebody covered it like that, and it's like, oh, that's pretty good. I like it. So,
Yep. It's always, and there's some songs by some artists that stick out for me that, it's kind of like, everybody talks about Nirvana, right? But, I think that, the genius behind Nirvana was not Kurt Cobain. The genius behind Nirvana was Dave Grohl.
absolutely.
And I would argue that Dave Grohl has had a much bigger and more successful and well-known career than Kurt Cobain had.
Well, so let me ask you this. I agree with you, but Kurt Cobain also didn't live a very long life. Do you feel that Cobain could have had as a successful career
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that so I think that there's some, especially in music, there's some music artists that their light burns so bright and so intensely, and that they change the shape of the music, that their light will forever be extinguished too early. And Kurt Cobain, he changed the face of music.
Sure.
You know, he actually, you know, they say that Kurt Cobain was the death of heavy metal. You know, was the death of that glam rock period of time, and he didn't just kill it; he murdered it to the point where there were labels that were dropping their bands like flies. I mean, if you think about all of those bands, Guns N' Roses and Whitesnake and Poison, and I mean, there was probably 50 of them, right? And almost none of them survived grunge.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that same period of time, you have Cobain that died too early, Lane Staley that died too early. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about the number of artists that were, like I said, they burned really bright. Amy Winehouse. Have you listened to an Amy Winehouse song? They're fucking fantastic.
Yep.
She's just, I mean, but without all of the pain and anguish that she was living through, her music wouldn't resonate, right? Not like that. And so, I just think that there's, you know, there's this weird thing. Like, look at all these artists that, well, if you go back right now and you look at the entire grunge scene, there's only 2 of them that were huge that are still alive.
Yeah.
So the lead singer of Alice in Chains is dead. The lead singer for, you know, Soundgarden is dead. The lead singer for Nirvana obviously is dead. I mean, there's I couldn't even the lead singer for Sublime is dead.
I don't know that's necessarily grunge, but
in that time frame, right? And then the one group where the girl was dressed in the bee costume.
Yes.
You know,
yep.
he's dead.
He's been gone for a while.
Right.
I forgot about him.
Right. And so, like, all these, you know, the only 2 that are still living really from that time period are Eddie Vedder.
Yeah.
And
Eddie Vedder was a wild man back then.
Yeah, Eddie Vedder, and then the lead singer for REM.
Oh, yes. And I don't know. Yeah, again, not grunge, but
in that same time, that same time period, right? So, you know, just a strange, you know, kind of a strange thing. And I have this like this love affair with music where I get really deeply into something for a period of time, and then it's almost like I listen to it until I burn out of it, and then I don't listen to it for a while. And so, but I always like to go through, and it tells me where my interest lies when I get that end of the year thing from Spotify.
Yeah.
I love that because it always tells me, like, hey, this is what you did in what you listened to in the last year and what ended up kind of ruling the airwaves. I think this year for me is probably going to be yacht rock. I'm almost positive it will be. But
another graduate, Smashing Pumpkins.
Smashing Pumpkins. Yeah.
Still alive.
Yeah, he's still alive. He's an odd duck, dude. If you see some of his interviews from like now, from when he was around during that time, his musical persona and his public persona, 2 very totally completely different things. Yeah. Like at the same time when he was like very, very super popular, he was partying with NBA people. Like with the San Antonio Spurs.
You know what's interesting? We talk about these lead singers all pass away. They're all male, all men, not female. Like if you look at Gin Blossoms, Courtney Love still, or is she still?
Courtney Love's still alive. I mean,
yeah, but she didn't. Didn't die at early age. She was.
Amy Winehouse was one of the only ones. I guess, you know, if you go back a little bit further though, like Lisa Left Eye Lopez from TLC, she passed away.
Yeah, lead singer of Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah. Yep.
He passed away. Now he passed away in 2015, but still.
Yep. But that was another band, Stone Temple Pilots, fucking amazing from that period of time, right? So.
Yeah. I'm trying. I'm cheating right now. I'm looking.
Dude,
I was like, I know I'm missing
no,
somebody.
no.
I'm missing somebody.
It's
Blind
okay.
Melon is
Blind
who
Melon
you were
is the lead singer for Blind Melon
earlier.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's and now we mentioned Courtney Love. She's lost a member or two from Hole over the years, pretty early on. But yeah, Chris Cornell, man, that's the one. I think. I mean, obviously Cornell lived longer than Kurt Cobain, but something about Cornell, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's more recent, but that one really hurt. In high school, I had a poster above my bed, the headboard of my bed. I bet that thing was 4.5 foot tall, 2.5, 3 foot wide, and it was that. Maybe you ever saw that poster, Cobain with that crazy look in his eye, and it looks like he's going psycho. And it said, "I hate myself and I want to die," which were lyrics of his. I can't remember which song off the top of my head, but I had that above my bed for years. My parents hated it.
Sure.
But yeah, man. Now I got a country and western singer's guitars hanging up behind me. Go figure.
Yeah. It's such an interesting dichotomy though of how much that changes too, because like I said, I found those guys much later in my life and later in their careers, right? I mean, when I started listening to Alice in Chains, Lane Staley was already dead. And so,
Man.
But if you go back and listen to that unplugged to this day, many people say it's the greatest unplugged on MTV to ever been done when Alice in Chains went on there and did it. And Lane Staley was literally 2 months away from being dead. He wasn't even sober. If you watch that thing, he barely opened his eyes.
Yeah. I had that CD. I remember watching that show when it came out.
Yeah.
So that episode. Absolutely. That, for me, that and Eric Clapton's Unplugged. When he did this song with a tribute to his son.
Tears in Heaven, yeah. I mean,
Tears in Heaven. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's such a it gives me I got goosebumps when you mentioned it just now. But there's like there's periods of time. But I would bet you though, like we're thinking about moments that are etched in history. If you go back, I bet you that like your parents probably could think about the first time when Elvis came out on the Ed Sullivan Show. Or when the Beatles did, or whatever, like I think that they do that, and I think that if you're a person who loves music, I think what happens is that you can go back, like I can go back and play the soundtrack of music in my life and know exactly where that music fits into what time frame in my life. When you were talking about Michael Jackson, I remember listening to I had it on tape. And I remember listening to it over the Thriller album over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So many times. And another Titan that I listened to was in the 90s. I got really big into Prince. Just an absolute fucking Titan of music, right? And that's why I talk about Dave Grohl, because those two remind me a lot of each other, because Prince used to go through and he'd record a song and stuff with his band, and then he would go back to the recording studio after everyone left and he would record every instrument and every track himself. Dave Grohl did that with the very first Foo Fighters album that came out, was him playing every instrument on that album.
That I did not know. Okay.
Yeah, in fact,
I believe it.
In fact, his band almost broke up. They almost broke up after that because they were like, "This is not what we recorded," and he had gone back in and recorded everything. And of course, at that time, how are you going to fight with Dave Grohl? He was fucking rock royalty, even though Foo Fighters just started. But he's so interesting thing. Dave, who passed away, I know I've mentioned him in the past. Dave had a gig where this media company that he worked with for a while used to set up all of the, I shouldn't say worked with, he owned, used to go and they would set up the multimedia stuff for concerts, for large conferences and things like that. And he had an opportunity. He's met a lot of bands because he would go set up their multimedia stuff. So
Gotcha.
bands that had a lot of computer stuff that they needed done when they would go to a gig, he and his company, that's what they did. And he said that he worked for Dave Grohl on enough times that Dave Grohl actually called him personally and asked him
Holy
to come be the photographer for some Foo Fighter stuff. And he just wanted him to take a bunch of pictures for him. So basically,
awesome.
Dave got to run around backstage and run around everywhere. And he said that he was there before the concert taking all the pre-pictures and everything like that. He said Dave Grohl came over, sat down on stage, and he looked at him and he goes, "It's Dave, right?" He said that was like his superpower. Like he remembered everyone and he treated everyone like he knew you and you were his best friend. And he said Dave Grohl was the biggest rock star who was never a rock star that he ever met. He said he was just another dude. And he didn't big dick anybody. He didn't, you know what I mean? Like he just did the whole thing. And it's kind of I have another friend who he has this uncanny knack of meeting musicians. And one of the things when Dave Matthews Band goes on the road, one of the things Dave Matthews does is he goes to a local dive bar in whatever town he's in, like literally the shittiest dive bar he can find, and he writes his set list on a bar napkin. And he usually orders like a beer, writes his set list on a bar napkin, and then goes about to his concert, right? So my buddy knew Dave Matthews Band's coming to Seattle. He's like, I'm just going to take a guess. I'm going to the shittiest, crappiest dive bar I can find. He sits down at the bar. Fucking Dave Matthews walks right in, pulls up the seat right next to him and sits down. My buddy's sitting there like, this can't even be happening. So this is like in the early 2000s, right? Late 90s,
Okay.
early 2000s. And so, I mean, Dave Matthews is fucking monster, gigantic. I mean, they're making $100 million a year touring, right? I mean, they were the largest touring band for like 10 years because they toured nonstop. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so, you know, and this is pre Taylor Swift. Like Dave Matthews Band was like Taylor Swift before Taylor Swift ever hit it. Like they were, and they were the first ones that told Ticketmaster to go fuck themselves and let everybody record at their concerts. Like you could bootleg Dave Matthews whenever you wanted. And so, so he's sitting down at the bar. Dave Matthews comes over, sits down next to him. They start chatting it up. So he chats it up and he writes his set list down and whatever. They chatted up for a while longer, and Dave Matthews, he doesn't big dick him at all. He's not like, oh, don't you know who I am? I'm Dave Matthews, right? They're just chatting up about life and about whatever, and then he's like, well, I got to go. You know, he's like, I got a show to play. And that's the first time my buddy's like, I know. He's like, I'll see you there. You know, like that kind of thing.
I'll
But
see you there.
until then, he didn't do that, right? So Dave Matthews gets up and leaves. And my buddy looks down, and the fucking set list is on the napkin sitting on the bar. And I said to my buddy, you didn't. And he goes, I did. And I'm like, you didn't. And he's like, I did. And I'm like, you stupid motherfucker. He picks up the napkin. He's like, hey, Dave, you forgot this. And gave him the set list back. So Dave Matthews walks over, takes the set list. He's like, thanks, man. And walks out. I'm like, you fucking dumbass. I'm like, you should have kept that fucking
Hell yeah, man.
set list. But no, he gave it back to him. But yeah, he was at there was an outdoor venue called Horde Fest in the Seattle area. He met John Popper from Blues Traveler. And
cool.
John Popper gave him a call out when he was on stage. He's like, this song goes to my buddy Phil in the back, and then beamed a light down on him.
That's hilarious.
Because he was sitting on a hill. Because he was sitting there having a cigarette, and he goes, this guy walks up and blocks the sun. He's like, hey, dude, can I sit down and listen to these guys with you and bum a cigarette off you? And my buddy's like, yeah. And he reaches into his pocket and he grabs a cigarette and he goes to hand it to him, and it's John Popper. And he's like, holy fucking shit, John Popper just sat down next to me.
Yeah, that's hilarious, man. I haven't had run-ins like that. I wish. The only thing I ever did was we were in Nashville and went to this little went to the Analog. It's a hotel. It's got a really small venue in it, and a couple of guys I listened to, Adam Hood and Brent Cobb, and a couple other folks were doing just an acoustic show there. They were like singer-songwriter kind of deal. They talk about a song they wrote, and then they sing it. And in this room was an obscene amount of country artists that I listen to, from Elizabeth Cook and Hayes Carll and Channing Wilson and several others. And so we were sitting there checking it out, and I stand up to go, or I turn to go walk over to the bar to get another beer, and literally bump into this lady, and I was like, I am so sorry. My apologies. And obviously husband's there, and I looked at him and said, I'm sorry. He goes, that's okay. It was Miranda Lambert. Like, oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Oh.
like literally like about knocked her over. Like, I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's about as close as I've gotten to like a big, music name to meet. You mentioned Prince, who amazing singer, amazing guitar player, and do you know what kind of motorcycle he had on the Purple Rain album cover?
It was a Kawasaki.
Is it? I thought it was a Honda.
Maybe it's a Honda.
Honda CM400.
That's right.
Honda-matic.
There's one of those sitting on the side of the road somewhere in Minnesota. I drove by it. It's been for sale for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Big fairing on it and everything.
You need to buy it.
Yeah, dude.
Paint it purple.
I'm sure that they're asking a lot of money for it. No, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at a cast list right now from Sons of Anarchy, because
okay, that should be good.
Because I ran into
a
guy that was a musician from the '90s who was on Sons of Anarchy, and I can't remember his name. I wish
he was a musician.
He was a musician in a band. If I can get his name, I will look him up and tell you the. Okay, do you remember the Henry Rollins band?
Oh yeah. Henry Rollins was.
Yeah. So he was a neo-Nazi in Sons. Yep. So my wife and I are in the airport in Colorado, and this dude comes over and he sits down. Not in a chair, but like in a pole, and sits down with his back against like one of those, like a pillar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On the floor, sits down on the floor, and he's like 5 feet from me. And I look over, I look back, I look over again, I look back, and I look over at my wife, and I go, hey babe, Henry Rollins is over there. She goes, who's Henry Rollins? And I was like, well, okay. So then I had to explain to him explain to her who he is, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so then I look over and I make eye contact with him. And then, like, he knows that I know that he knows I know.
That's right. That's hilarious.
And so at that very moment, all I did was I just did the whole, like, nod thing.
Yeah.
And kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to bother you, dude. Like, I just nodded, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then, like, a little while later, some dude walks up to him and then asks him to sign an autograph and do the whole thing, you know what I mean? And I was just like, you know what? I just want to leave him alone, but I just wanted to be like, I know who you are. I know who you are.
Yeah.
I'm just going to nod, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it was weird, dude. Like, my wife and I were in the Las Vegas airport just a few weeks ago, and if you're a sports fan and you remember the Kings from, like, the Los Angeles Kings from the 2000s, Mike Bibby. I almost ran right into him.
LA Kings are a hockey team.
Not
You're
LA
talking about
Kings.
The Clippers?
Sacramento. The Sacramento Kings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Mike Bibby, yeah.
Mike Bibby, their point guard. Ran into him. Yeah. In
funny.
the airport. And then I saw him and I was like, God damn. I thought you'd be bigger.
I guess this is music related, because one of the people I ran into was so I was at LAX flying back to St. Louis, going through TSA, get through through the conveyor belt thing, waiting on my bag and shoes, and I hear something hit the ground, and I hear, "Hey-oh, what the fuck?" And I look, and it's Al Pacino, and he's a sawed off son of a bitch, man. He is like 5'2". He's short.
He's not tall at all.
So obviously not going up to him. He has his entourage with him, whatever. But cool. Hey, there's Al Pacino.
Right.
10 minutes later, I walk up to my gate. Get another Al. Fucking Weird Al Yankovic is at my gate. Nice. Like, what the fuck? I didn't expect to see two Als in 10 minutes and it be this extreme difference.
Yeah.
So I walked over to shook his hand and said, man, thank you. My childhood really appreciates all the laughs. And he just laughed. He's like, thanks, man. And I just, what about, now he's the polar opposite. He's about 7'13". He is a tall son of a bitch.
Yeah, he's tall and skinny. Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting. All right, so best rock and roll band ever, in your opinion?
Holy shit. Rock and roll band?
Mm-hmm.
Man. That's murderous. I mean, like what? It's completely subjective. Like the one that I like the best.
Yeah. What do you think? Who did it the best for you?
Wow.
In your entire life. I'll go first. Led Zeppelin, to me, best rock and roll band ever.
Sure.
They, for me, embodied like real rock and roll. It was, I mean, what they did and the albums they put out and the songs they released, just amazing. Truly amazing.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, oh man, like, there's so many, dude. That's a super hard question.
Oh, absolutely.
I think the best. Okay, I'm gonna do two categories. For me, the best like modern rock and roll band.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Audio Slave.
Okay.
If I'm gonna go with because they were a super group, right? It was Rage Against the Machine, and then Soundgarden, right? So if that's modern rock band, if I'm gonna go old rock band, the Eagles.
Ooh. Okay.
See, and I tell you, I don't like country music, and then listen to the Eagles, and I name them as one of my favorite bands, and they have a lot of country roots, man. Like their stuff is not like traditional rock. I don't know, like yeah. Because I really like complicated music, and the Eagles sing, such great harmonies, and like if you go back and listen to old Beach Boys stuff, their shit is incredibly difficult to sing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many harmonies, and it's so layered, and their music, the musicality, and how many instruments they play, and but yeah.
All right, so when you're on the bike and getting tired,
yeah,
yacht rock is what you're jamming out to.
That was my go-to this year.
What was it last year?
Probably Foo Fighters. It would have been probably a lot of like 90s grunge. It would probably been like Foo Fighters, Alice in Chains. I was a Nirvana fan, but to me there was other bands that I liked better than Nirvana. So I was really like a lot more Alice in Chains than I was Nirvana.
Yes.
So for me it was probably Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and Foo Fighters were probably last year would have been those guys. Yep.
I know you like to ride in silence.
I do 99% of the time I do. Yep.
Do you find yourself though ever wanting to listen to music on the bike when you're not tired?
Yes, I do, and most of the time it's after I've ridden for a long enough period of time that I'm not processing anymore.
Gotcha.
So after I'm kind of done processing, then I think I'm ready to do that.
You can actually hear the music?
Yep. I can actually hear the music. Yep. I don't like to listen to music in city traffic or riding through large cities like through Kansas City or Minneapolis or Indianapolis or Louisville or any of the huge fucking cities I've ridden through. I really like. I need to hear the traffic and the noises and all the things, right?
Yeah.
So that would be more that kind of thing, for sure. So okay. You're sad, in a bad mood, kind of down, depressed. What's your go-to music for something like that?
Ooh, that evolves. It changes.
Right now, what is it right now?
Ooh, there's a few songs by Josh Malloy, a few songs by Steven Wilson Jr. that I mentioned. Mentioned him really earlier. Band they're talking to me right now when I'm not in a good headspace. Yeah, those really stand out the most right now.
Okay, what would be your favorite country artist ever?
Ever, Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash. Okay.
Yeah, he's the artist that got me into country music.
That opened the door.
Opened the door.
Yeah,
I gave country a shot with Johnny Cash, and holy shit, I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Ironically for me, if I were to like name one, I would go all the way back to my childhood and say Kenny Rogers. I have one of my favorite old movies is Six Pack. If you remember the movie Six Pack with Kenny Rogers, he was a NASCAR racer, and ironically enough, I fucking hate NASCAR. And I'm not a fan of country music, and I love that movie. I love it. Right? There's just a, you know, and I don't know if it's about getting older or whatever, but I'm really been stuck in some nostalgia stuff lately. Right? I think that's why the yacht rock has been hitting me. I think that's why I brought up Prince. I think when you mentioned Michael Jackson, it like just transported me to 8 years old again. Right? And so, you know, so I think like nostalgic music right now is hitting me pretty good. You know, that's that one of my most favorite things to do though, like with my wife, is musical theater. I love to go to musical theater with my wife, and dude, I might be judged like really harshly for that, but you know, it's where we met. It is truly one of my loves. I really do like musical theater. I can appreciate how hard it is, and I think one thing that I like about it is musical theater for me is one of those things where I get completely transported when I am watching a show. And so it really, like, I can watch a show and realize that the time has passed and I've been completely engrossed in that thing and not thinking about life or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, my mind doesn't wander. I can really kind of lock into it.
It keeps your attention.
Yeah.
I tell you what, like a movie or TV show that has singing involved in it, like I'm sure I can't think of any of those off the top of my head, like Grease.
Sure.
Fuck that. I can't do it. I can't stand it. Don't like it at all. But you put me in front of Wicked or the Rockettes or whatever.
Yep.
Man, I love that. I mean, I don't do it very often, but the 5, 6, 8 I've been to, fucking loved it. Those are great.
Yeah, we took our daughter, my youngest, to Wicked on Broadway. That was pretty cool. But I think more than anything is that for me now, looking back, I realize that I mark a lot of points in time in my life by music that was the soundtrack for that period of time in my life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and so. I really connect to things, and I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned as I've gotten older is that music is transporting me now to whatever place and time that music is connected to.
Sure.
You know, which makes it more difficult now because I'm not finding as much new music that I'm enjoying. So when I am finding it, like, because I don't listen to the radio at all anymore, like not at all.
I don't either. I haven't in years.
Because I listen to a podcast or I listen to Spotify or something like that. So I'm not finding as many new artists as much.
You're not finding new artists on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever?
I'm not trying. That's the thing. I'm not trying to find new artists, right?
Okay.
I'm because I'm not listening to random stuff. Like, I'm going and finding people, you know, particularly in. Ironically enough, you know where I found Chris Stapleton from?
Where?
Saturday Night Live.
Oh.
He performed on Saturday Night Live. I think it was last season. And typically, my wife and I, we're music fans, but Saturday Night Live has a lot of weird shit on it, right, for musicians. And Chris Stapleton was the first one I can remember last season of Saturday Night Live that we watched both of the musical performances from beginning to end. And it was truly because the first time from the second he opened his mouth, I was absolutely captivated by his voice. I was blown away by it. But he led me then to Chris Stapleton led me to Teddy Swims, and you know, like I knew a couple of Jelly Roll things, but I was kind of like, I don't know. And then I started like really paying attention to Jelly Roll. I dig that dude a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
I would have to say that there's been some things that have piqued my interest in country music when Darius Rucker started doing country music. Because Darius Rucker to me his voice is absolutely just amazingly phenomenal. And so, you know, he kind of got me interested in some of those things too. because I was a huge Hootie and the Blowfish fan.
Yeah. There's another 90s.
Rob Thomas. Remember Rob Thomas?
Sure. I saw Matchbox 20 in concert.
Yeah, so we saw Matchbox 20 and Hootie and the Blowfish. I mean, what a great combination,
Hootie,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought my wife had such a huge crush on Rob Thomas. I mean, she was in love with that dude, But there was a time in the 90s when everything Rob Thomas touched, turned platinum, right? I mean,
oh yeah.
Like every other week, dude had. I mean,
the song he did with Carlos Santana.
Yeah.
I mean, and people are like, "Oh, this guy's good." Carlos Santana had been around for decades at that point. It was well known, just wasn't on the radio, right?
Yep.
So,
yep. And he brought he brought so many people along for the ride with him. I was a huge Three Doors Down fan for a while.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
What about Nickelback?
I've seen him in concert. Come on, who hasn't seen Nickelback in concert?
I haven't.
Yeah, I have to say this. Nickelback I think got a bad rap because they found the formula to make rock music that was catchy.
Yes,
and that uniformly became their downfall. Because every song,
wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah,
that's all it was.
Yeah, but every song was fucking catchy as hell, and everybody knew Nickelback songs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was a band right around the time that Nickelback became popular that toured with Three Doors Down. I wish I could remember their name, but they were another Canadian band like Nickelback, and I would call them Nickelback heavy. They were like Nickelback, but they were heavier. And they were really, really good, but they just never caught on because Nickelback ruled the airwaves, and they sounded too much
Canadian.
alike. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's an interesting scenario. So, what would be your go-to lift you up, right? You're not in a bad mood. You're in a good mood, but you just want you need some music to get pumped up to.
Oh yeah, geez. It's probably like my workout playlist. I have playlists.
Okay.
And I'm several. Like one to work out, one when I'm riding. If I want to listen to music while I'm riding. So let's see. The first song on it is a Chris Stapleton, Ed Sheeran, Bruno Mars, "Blow." And that's one of the first songs. There's Whiskey Myers in there. There is some Rage Against the Machine. There's Nine Inch Nails, Audio Slave, Papa Roach, Rob Zombie, Foo Fighters, the Steelwoods, Dr. Dre, Outkast.
God damn, that's your workout playlist?
Yeah, that's just. There's probably 100 songs on here.
I mean, that sounds every one of those. I get down with every one of those.
Eminem. Who else? Anything more new? Led Zeppelin. Soul Coughing. If you want to go back to the early 2000s or 90s, Greta Van Fleet. They are. Are you familiar with them? Mm-hmm. They're amazing. So that's part of the workout playlist. That gets me going.
I love the story. I love stories. The artists and that was the one thing. So Eminem became this worldwide phenom, right? And I started digging into it, and I was absorbing everything I could find about him, watching interviews, listening to all these different things. And he used to carry the shoebox with him. And every time he heard a word that was interesting, he would write it down on a scrap of paper and put it in the shoebox. And then he would go back to the dictionary, and he would write the same word, how the dictionary had it sounded out.
Okay.
And that's how he learned to break apart words and rhyme words that didn't rhyme because he rhymed segments of words.
Master of that. He is a master of that.
Right.
So impressive.
And he rhymes segments of words that don't rhyme, but if you break the word apart, the segments of the words will rhyme. And I found that to be absolutely genius. Now, you can agree or disagree with his the content of his lyrics, right?
Sure.
But to deny the fact that he's probably one of the best and most prolific writers of our generation would be you have to admit that has to be true. He is his stylistically, it's like nothing we've ever heard before and nothing we will ever hear again.
Get on YouTube and search, Dr. Dre interview about discovering Eminem.
Yeah,
it's
fucking
he talks about
phenomenon.
that. He's just like,
yeah,
shit.
It's phenomenal. And then you go back and you listen to all of the big dogs in the rap history saying there's only one guy you don't fuck with, and he's the one. He's the one you don't fuck with.
Yep.
I mean, and it's not about who's the biggest and the most powerful in the industry and whatever. He's the guy you don't fuck with because his everything he does is just slays. And so I was really I really got down with his music for a while too, and not that I don't now, but his music really spoke to me. And again, not all of it and not the stuff, but the shit how he puts together his lyrics, and it just that shit just stuck in my brain. Like I could not get it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's yeah, I mean, great. Okay, I need to give Luke props, guys. So anybody out there listening, Luke and I had literally a 2 text message discussion about what we were going to talk about. I brought up a different topic, and this was Luke's topic. He said, "Hey, what about this?" And I was like, "I can get down with that." And Luke was like, "Well, we can do your topic too." I'm like, "No. Let's get down with this music thing." And dude, I'm glad we talked about this. I'm super glad.
Well, I will say, and not to end on a bad note, but we a little over a week ago lost a really great, I don't know, country Americana. I think would be what I would call Todd Snyder's music, but one of the great storytellers in music. Definitely really spearheaded the East Nashville scene for up and coming country music and Americana singers and songwriters, and unfortunately passed away from complications of pneumonia about a week and a half ago. I think he was 58, 59, but just an amazing soul of a person, and just want to pay my respects to him since we're talking about music, because that guy, he was good. He was the real deal. So as we talked earlier in the show, folks lost too soon or gone too soon, and he's definitely one of those.
Yeah. What would be? Can you give us a brief example of what other music would be kind of in that Americana genre?
Sure. I mean, I think, and sometimes modern day, like what you would hear on the radio, Zach Bryan.
Zach Bryan.
Rock.
Yep. Okay.
He's not country. He's not rock.
Yep.
A guy named John Prine, who we lost to COVID in 2020. One of the best storytellers out there for sure. I'd say Charlie Daniels. He's told a story.
Guy, yeah.
I mean, Dale went down Georgia. He's telling a story.
Yeah.
That is a story all day long.
Well, and like it or not, people, whether you like it or not, if there's 2 genres of music that are more alike than people want to give them credit for, it's rap and country. Because every rap song tells a story and every country song tells a story, right?
Yep.
And it's true. I mean, go through and look at it in that, if you go through and listen to Devil Went Down to Georgia, follow the whole thing, down, and you take the chorus out of it, and it's a written story.
Yes.
So, and what I love about that song too is that if you just sit in a room all by yourself and you close your eyes and you listen to that song, you can imagine all of that happening. You can imagine the crossroads, and you can imagine him coming up there, and then you can imagine him playing the fiddle with the devil. And also another person I got to see live was Charlie Daniels. I saw him at WeFest. So
nice. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
he was amazing. So yeah, that's what I would consider Americana. Folks that maybe listen to Margot Price or Elizabeth Cook, you could call them country. You could also say Americana. But yeah, Zach Bryan, Charlie Daniels, John Prine, definitely the first to come to mind.
Okay. And
if you don't know who John Prine is, you should look him up, because man, that guy, amazing singer songwriter, and what he went through, like he had cancer in his jaw and had to have part of his jaw reconstructed, and what he overcame to become a great singer-songwriter is pretty amazing.
Sure. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention the other band that I would say brought me in line with country that definitely has a bit of a soundtrack in the time of my life is Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
Okay. Yeah.
So they definitely have a little soft spot in my heart. My wife and I went to their concert when we were dating when we were in high school, and
that's cool.
You know, but I also you know, like I came along the time when Fishing in the Dark was played at every fucking school dance that there was. And there's probably a whole generation of people that haven't heard of that song before, but I don't know. Maybe,
it was.
I think all of our fans know that song, but
right. Well, I'd say the modern day version of that is Wagon Wheel. You've heard that.
Yeah, yep, for sure.
Worn the fuck out.
Worn out, yeah, worn the fuck out for sure.
Jesus Christ! I mean, if you go anywhere in Nashville, you know, not on Lower Broadway or any of that, but any of the smaller venues, and they, you know. Well, you know, they're taking requests. You can request anything but Wagon Wheel, so that's pretty commonly said.
Right.
Thank God. Well, guys, that was fun. Thank you all for listening and sticking around with us as we bullshit about music. But I like this. I like this. We'll have to revisit it because we didn't even really touch about how they're intertwined with the bike community. And
not at all, dude. Not at all. I mean, we talked about what we listened to on the bike, I think once or twice, right? But hey, listen, guys, get out there, give us a follow on Instagram, on Patreon, tell a friend, repost, do all the things so that, you know, all of that. And if you can, go out there, give us a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. All of these things really do help boost the podcast and make us more visible. We've had a lot of good traction. We want to keep building on that. So we're really excited. Thank you guys all for listening. If you want to continue to support us, you can support us further by joining Patreon. And if you join Patreon, you get a backstage pass. And you get to meet us once every couple months, or once a month? Are we meeting once a month now? Yep. Yeah, so we're meeting once a month with our patrons. You know, there's 5 or 6 guys. We chat, we yak it up. Luke and I give each other shit the whole time. It's a lot of fun, and
you get your own episodes too.
Yes,
we just recorded our second Patreon only episode.
Yep, and so we did release a Patreon only, and this isn't one of those like if you wait long enough you're going to get the episode. That's not happening. We're not doing that shit. If you want to get the episodes that are behind the scenes, and what are those called again, Luke?
Off the record.
Off the record, right? So if you want to get an off the record podcast, you got to join Patreon because they will not be put out to the public. So
yeah,
Patreon
you can hear
only.
Stories how one of our Patreon members saved my life.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, all right, thanks guys, and we out. Peace.
See you next week. Peace.